Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled Board of Public Works meeting for today, Wednesday, August 9th, 2017.
Commissioners Rivas, Repenning, James, Davis, and Jacinto are present. We have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, beginning with the Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Chi-Ming Gong with the Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Maria Martin, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Hannah Choi, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Reina Pereira, Sanitation.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Good morning, Raul Mendoza, Assistant Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under public comment, no cards under Neighborhood Council commentary, and no cards on any of the items for today.
Okay, then we will close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. Housekeeping item, Council District 13 has requested that we continue agenda item number 3 from today for 2 weeks until August 23rd, 2017. So without objection, we'll continue number 3 until Wednesday, August 23rd, 2017. Agenda item number 1, we have bids that we're going to receive for the bridge preventative maintenance for Tampa Avenue, Peterson Avenue, and Vermont Avenue. The city's estimate is $125,964. It's in Council Districts 3 and 15. Mr. Mendoza. Ms. Carter.
Good morning, Raul Mendoza, Assistant Executive Officer. For the bridge preventative maintenance for Tampa Avenue, Peterson Avenue, and Vermont Avenue, we received one bid from CPO Enterprises Incorporated with a total bid amount of $134,879. That's $134,879.
Thank you. Is there a second to my motion that we declare the bids opened and received by Commissioners Repenning and Rivas? Any objection? Or without objection, we will do so, and we can send that forthwith. Agenda item number 4, task order solicitation number 8, Tetra Tech Albion Riverside Park Project, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue a sole source task to Tetra Tech from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide design and support services during construction for the project with a budget authority not to exceed $54,009. Mr. Saldane.
Good morning. John Saldine with the Bureau of Engineering. And Commissioners, we have before you today a recommendation to authorize the Bureau of Engineering to issue a sole source task order to Tetra Tech from the pre-qualified on-call list of wastewater consulting firms to provide design support during construction for the Albion Riverside Park project for an amount not to exceed $54,000. And the Albion Riverside Park project is an important project for PROPO, and it is in partnership with the Department of Recreation and Parks to deliver not only stormwater improvements but also parkland in the Lincoln Heights area of Los Angeles. The project is currently in construction, and the personal services contract for design support with Tetra Tech, the previous contract expired last month, and we're coming before you to request that it be extended to the balance of the prior contract.
Using the same entity?
Yes, the same entity as Tetra Tech.
That's the sole source justification?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Jordan, you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody? All right. Commissioner Santos made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 4, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 4. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Friday, July 21, 2017? Commissioner Repenning? Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes Agenda item number 9 is a stop notice. Robertson's has transmitted a stop notice in the amount of $799.31 for furnishing ready-mix concrete, rock, and/or sand materials in connection with the secondary sewer renewal program, number 7, Broadway and Pico Boulevard project. The contractor is Ramona. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 9 forthwith? By Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Rivas. Any objection? With that objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 7, a contract amendment for Los Angeles Conservation Corps, recommending that the board authorize the Office of Community Beautification to amend an existing contract amendment with the Los Angeles Conservation Corps in the amount of $100,000 for supplemental community beautification efforts and services. Mr. Roch on number 7.
Good morning, Paul Roch, Director of the Office of Community Beautification. This is a case where the Office of Councilmember Rue has transferred some of their discretionary funding to OCB to provide a contract with the LA Conservation Corps for supplemental cleanup and beautification services in Council District 4. Such services may include public right-of-way cleanup, alley cleanup, litter abatement, bulky item pickup, cleaning of tree wells, sidewalk cleaning, and other maintenance services as directed by the council office. The funds have been transferred, are in the Board of Public Works Contractual Services account, and we do request approval from the board to amend an existing contract with LA Conservation Corps to provide these services.
Any questions on agenda item number 7? I don't have any questions. Commissioner Santos made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 7, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? With that objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 7. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 7 forthwith? We will send number 7 forthwith. Number 6, Bureau of Street Lighting, Public Works Trust Fund Loan Amendment, Street Lighting Projects. Recommending that the board amend the November 4th, 2016 board report that requested 4 loans from the Public Works Trust Fund to the Bureau of Street Lighting to 5 loans with no change in total cost. And secondly, forward the amended report recommending that the City Council first authorize 5 loans from the Public Works Trust Fund 834 totaling $6,875,000 payable to the Street Lighting Maintenance Assessment Fund 347 to fund the design and construction of street lighting projects to be repaid as federal grant proceeds are received from the California Department of Transportation and LAMTA on a cost reimbursement basis. The individual loan amounts requested are estimates and are subject to change based on the final bid amounts. Nevertheless, the overall cost of the 5 loans shall not exceed $6,875,000 through this board report. And secondly, authorize that grant reimbursements from the state and LAMTA will be deposited into the Street Lighting Maintenance Assessment Fund and subsequently transferred back to the Public Works Trust Fund no later than 1 week after the deposit has been made. Mr. Quigley?
Good morning. James Quigley, representing the Bureau of Street Lighting. As President James mentioned, this item is a request to add a project to the November 4th, 2016 report that approved the front funding from the Public Works Trust Fund for the construction of 4 projects. This additional project will be reimbursed through the Los Angeles MTA and Federal Transit Administration for $750,000. The Bureau of Street Lighting is requesting that the loan amounts and schedules of the original 4 projects be modified to accommodate this new project. The $750,000 loan from the Public Works Trust Fund will front fund the design and construction costs for installation of security lighting at 18 bus stops in the city of Los Angeles. LAMTA will provide up to $600,000 of federal funds and up to $150,000 of MTA local funds for the project. The federal grant of $600,000 has been awarded, and the MTA has committed to include $150,000 of internal funds. Now, these funds will be approved by the MTA board upon the approval of this report. The modified loan amounts from the Public Works Trust Fund scope and schedule for each of the projects is indicated in the report. There is no impact on the general fund. Public Works Trust Fund will front fund the 5 projects for a total of $6,875,000 and will be reimbursed by the Street Lighting Maintenance Assessment Fund as soon as the grant proceeds are received from Caltrans, LAMTA, and the Federal Transit Administration. So that concludes the summary of this report. Are there any questions?
Not really a question as much as just maybe putting it a different way or making a statement for the record. It's a loan from the Public Works Trust Fund. As you've indicated, we're front funding grant awards, basically. And so there's an authorized amount, the $6.8 million. That amount, that full amount may never be actually loaned out because you're going to be loaned, you're going to draw back on the loans by project. And then once you complete the project and the reimbursement comes in, then the money is reimbursed.
Absolutely.
So it's there will be a floating amount, in essence, of the Public Works Trust Fund that is managed by our executive office with the assistance of the council, obviously. Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask the time period by which we anticipate the return on the funds to the Bureau. When do you anticipate that will be?
Well, because there's 5 different projects, it's
see.
going to vary. So
see.
each project, some of the projects, particularly this MTA one, is going very quickly. It's not an extended construction period. I would anticipate that the funds from the Federal Transit Administration will come possibly before anything else and come back. Once again, it is dependent on getting, these not having any hiccups in the construction, getting the job closed and getting the paperwork in to get the money back. But as President James mentioned, each one of these projects has a different timeline, different scope, and different issues and problems that may occur that might delay the repayment. But as soon as the money comes in, the Street Lighting Maintenance Assessment Fund will pay back the Public Works Trust Fund.
Right. And once a project is completed, that project is off of the loan docket anyway.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because once it's completed, and the loans are repaid, then it's off the loan docket. So that $6.8 million will never, is not going to be reached at that point.
It will not.
Okay. Any other questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 6, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 6. Any issue sending 6 forthwith? We'll send 6 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 8, authority for expenditure, Department of General Services, Office of Fiscal Services Revolving Fund, Bureau of Street Services, and Office of Accounting requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $150,000 to pay for the use of gas lines to operate the heater and dryer equipment at the Bureau's asphalt plant. Ming, can I ask you just a quick question on this?
Yes, President James. Chi Ming Gong for the Bureau of Street Services.
Thank you. We are, this is for asphalt, is this for asphalt plant number 2?
I believe so, yes. It's
Because
for
number 1 is under
down for
construction.
Yes.
So this is just for the one that we're operating right now.
Yes, that's
Okay. Any questions for this? This is not unusual, this authority for expenditure. Commissioner Jacinto.
I would just ask, President James, is this the same amount of gas that we're paying, or the price?
Yes, I believe all we're doing is paying our bills for the most part.
Great,
Yes.
thank you.
Great. Anything further? Commissioner Jacinto's made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 8. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 8. Any issue sending it forthwith? We will send number 8 forthwith. Agenda item number 5, task for solicitation number 9, Arcadis U.S. Incorporated Proposition O Clean Water Bond Program, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue the task to Arcadis, contract number C-129644 from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering consultants list to provide program management and construction management support services for the Proposition O Clean Water Bond Program as stated in the task order solicitation number 9 with a budget authority of $8,150,000. Mr. Saldane again.
All right. John Salding again with Bureau of Engineering. And this is a second item for your consideration, Commissioners and President. This is a requesting authority, as you indicated, to issue Task 9 to Arcadis U.S. from the pre-qualified wastewater and environmental consultant list to provide program management and construction management support services for Proposition O with a budget authority not to exceed $8.15 million. And just real briefly, I will indicate that Proposition O is a $500 million bond program to deliver stormwater pollution projects in the city of Los Angeles to help meet stormwater regulations in the beaches and rivers in Los Angeles. And I will say that Proposition O relies on consultant support to deliver and meet those bond obligations. So we issued task solicitation number 9 in June to all 24 firms on the pre-qualified on-call list. We received 4 proposals. After reviewing the proposals, we recommend awarding, as indicated in this board report, the PMCM support services to Arcadis with that budget authority not to exceed $8.5 million. And I will just point out also that Arcadis is pledging to meet the BIP program goals that were established. They are pledging to meet 16.7% MBE, 14.9% WBE, 20.1 SBE, 20.1 EBE, and 1.7 DVBE.
So, Mr. Saldane, I know this is in the board report, but how many firms submitted proposals?
There were 4 firms.
Right? And Arcadis was not the cheapest, correct?
That is correct. There was 4 firms. Arcadis was the second most expensive of the 4.
But the Bureau felt that it was worth spending the additional money to get Arcadis because their package was...
So upon reviewing the proposal, we had a panel, a BOE panel, did review all 4 firms, and the Arcadis proposal was reviewed and found to be the most responsive and provide the most, the recommended, we had an evaluation criteria established, and they had the highest rating based on the value and the services and their experience that they brought with the proposal, and the value was found to be to have merit and was reasonable for the services to be provided.
You referenced the business inclusion program, and just looking at the chart, MBI Media is listed as female, but it's not listed as a WBE. Do you know what occurred there, if anything?
You know, I need to report back to you on that, President.
Okay. I mean, it would only increase the WBE numbers, which are already pretty good anyway, but I just noticed it on here.
I agree that is not consistent. A female ownership should be WBE, I agree, and unfortunately I don't have...
Yeah, maybe it may be just that they haven't certified. But BCA could tell you that. Commissioner Repenning and then Commissioner Cento.
Is this a continuation of something that Arcadis is already doing with the program?
So Arcadis has in the past supported the Proposition program in PMCM support services. That contract, there's been 2 contracts. They did expire in July, and they were selected back in about 2012 based on a previous task solicitation, and so this is a new on-call services contract. That previous contract expired, like I say, in July. Those are 5-year contracts typically. This was a new solicitation off of the new list, so it is new services as of today, as of this new contract.
So, they've already been involved in program management. Do you know if the intention of the Bureau is to use them more or less than they were previously being used?
They are used exclusively for construction management and project management support for Prop O. We normally will have construction management support for every PROPO project that goes into construction. Program management support is less, but those types of services are unchanged. They're the same for the PROPO program.
We do have, because we do have dedicated internal staff, and I was wondering if...
Yeah, that's a good question. We do also use city staff, for sure. We have a construction management team under Jose Fuentes and the construction management division in the Bureau, which we rely on to the extent that the city forces are available, but typically the city forces are stretched. In the PROPO program, a large $500 million program is typically larger than he would have support for us to dedicate to one or two or three construction managers to pull them off of other projects. So we do rely on consulting support for things like construction management to supplement the city forces.
Okay, my only thing on this, and I realize that it's possible that we might not spend all of the money that we're allocating today, is that it feels like, as you know, I sit on the Administrative Oversight Committee for PROPO. There's very little money left in the program, and most of the big projects are done. So this feels like a lot of money to set aside to administer a program that essentially, in my opinion, we should have already wound down by now, and we should have already been out with another source of local funding for stormwater, but that's not where we're at. But there's just not that much money left in the program, so I just want to make sure that the money that we have left is going as much to projects as possible, especially because we do have a dedicated group in engineering for the administration.
Yes, I do hear that, and that would be certainly a question. And I would say that the funding of $8.1 million is a not to exceed, and it's only taken from those projects that get approved by the oversight committees as well as by city council. And so it is only a support of those projects and part of their budget. And indeed, but I do hear what you're saying, and I concur with that, and I think Bureau of Engineering also concurs with that. These services are only being requested to supplement city forces as needed.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. John, thank you for this. PROPO is a really important program that's had many award-winning projects. Machado Lake has been one of those, right? Correct? Recently.
Yes.
Do you have an idea of what we have left? As Commissioner Repenning had said, that we're winding down with this PROPO, and this is a large amount, and we are only going to expend as we need, as directed from the Oversight Committee. So do we have a preview of projects to come?
Yes, we have basically two pots that I'm going to refer to from my memory. I would take a look at the monthly report to get better figures, but basically I believe we have about $60 million of bond funds that have not been issued yet. We have interest on bond funds of some millions of dollars, much less than 60 million, some millions of dollars, and we have project savings from other projects that are completed of some millions of dollars. So totally, I'm going to say, I'm just going to guess maybe $70 million balance.
But do we have any projects identified right now from any of the districts on the docket?
Yes, we do. We do indeed. We have the $60 million I'm referring to is not yet approved and allocated to projects, but on the board we are winding down. We have Albion Riverside Park project in construction right now. We have the Argo Drain Facility Basin project of about $25 million construction value that's coming to your board in a couple of months. We have the Alicio PROPO as Alicio Park Improvement Project. We are anticipating some other projects that are on the board in the planning phase that are going to oversight committees. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. Thank you. So there's some large projects, Albion and Argo Ditch, especially. Those
Yes.
are large projects. Thank you,
That's
John.
true. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Just a couple of things that between Commissioner Repenning's points and Commissioner Cinto's points. Depending on what that balance is, my math was a little bit different, but depending on what that balance is, the funds here that we are allocating are only, as you've said, will be allocated for existing or perhaps new Propo projects, only to the extent needed and approved by the Oversight Committee. And the $8 million seems high, but let's assume that, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hypothetical, that this $8 million is not going to be used. Some of it will be, but let's say we've got $5 million left.
Yes.
Well, where does that $5 million go?
So anything that would not be used would not. Well, I mean, but this is an authority, but we are not.
So, but we're holding it aside.
Yes, exactly right. It
And
has not
so, we see that it's not going to be used. So there's leftover money held aside. How does it get repurposed, or does it?
You know, that would be. I would have to get back to you on that. How does that physically happen? That money is returned to the Propo pot? It is, though. I can answer that it would be returned to the pot if it's not used for this purpose.
I don't know if that money comes back to us or if it goes to the Oversight Committee or, Raul, do you know?
Yeah, so a lot of the money, if it's surplus money, it'll go back to the Administrative Oversight Committee and the CAO's office to make recommendations on how to repurpose that money.
Within the Propo program?
Within the Propo program only.
Okay, great, thank you. Anything further? Okay. Commissioner Rivas.
I just had a question. You mentioned that there's $60 million plus interest and project savings in this fund.
Yes.
So then this $8 million is less than 10% of what's in there. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. And I'm sorry, Commissioner, but I should clarify, and that was pointed out by Commissioner Jacinto, we also have existing projects that will be drawing down some of the fund as well. Some of the larger projects, including Albion Riverside, Argo Drain projects totaling some $30-40 million, are not included in that $60 million. I should have figured that out.
But the $8 million, that construction management is part of those other projects?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, in the back of the board report, there are funding sources listed. Those are all the existing funding sources of, I should say, funds and accounts from our existing projects. And then the to be determined it adds to that as projects are approved through City Council and through the oversight committees would be added.
But then the remaining fund, minus $8 million.
Yes.
That would all go towards project, or is some of that also project management and construction?
So I'm sorry, if you could repeat the question, please.
So without, the total amount that you have, and
Propo.
then subtracting this $8 million for this item,
Yes.
the remaining balance, is any of that going towards program management, additional program management for other projects? So right now you don't know?
Yeah, no. The 8.15 million would be the expected authority that we are anticipating right now.
For the remaining balance? For
the remaining, this is a 5-year contract. Unless Propo extended beyond 5 years, this is our estimate for completing the support required for Propo.
Thanks.
Anything further? Is there a motion on agenda item number 5 by Commissioner Jacinto? Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Rivas and Commissioner Repenning. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 5. Any issues sending number 5 forthwith? We'll send number 5 forthwith. Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 2. Council District 9, above ground facility variance, 2301 South San Pedro Street. recommending that the board approve the request for a variance from the height limitation requirements of the AGF ordinance pursuant to Los Angeles Municipal Code Section 6208VB and authorize Mobility LLC to install a 58-foot, 11-inch high steel monopole in the public right-of-way adjacent to 2301 South San Pedro Street. Mr. Ledoux on number 2.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Ledoux. I work for Bureau of Engineering Central District. As it said here, this is one of the mobility monopoles, 58 feet, 11 inches tall. It is adjacent to a commercial lot at 2301 South San Pedro Street. It is in CD9, and this is one of the older applications. It dates back to April of 2016 when Mobility was originally proposing wood monopoles, and CD9 asked that they revisit that and use a steel pole, which Mobility did. I've had no phone calls or emails from anybody on this one. No one appealed it, and CD9, since they got what they asked for, is okay with it to proceed.
Okay. I don't really have a question on this, although I would mention that just as a note to my colleagues, Commissioner Repenning and I ran into one of these steel monopoles in Cheviot Hills that was permitted. And seeing it in real life is a bit more jarring than seeing what this image that's superimposed as to what it will look like by a computer on this piece of paper.
I thoroughly would agree with you. Every time I've seen one, I've just got, oh my God, I can't believe it.
So what I would do is, and I know that it was permitted and the community knew about it and the community hasn't complained about it and they like having the service. I got all that. But I just think, and what I think, Jeff, I've got a photograph of the Cheviot Hills pole that I was taken in. You, I think, pulled it off of Google Maps.
I have a possession of it. I did that original application, yes.
Okay.
I'm thoroughly familiar with it.
What I would like to do, if Mr. Jordan tells me it's okay, for the board reports where we have a steel monopole, I recognize that we have one of these images of what it will look like, and this one demonstrates it's pretty tall. It's fair. But I would like to add the photograph of the Cheviot Hills.
Now, I will say one thing.
Yeah.
Mobility's poles are unlike any poles that I've seen yet. They're quite different from that pole that you saw out in Cheviot Hills.
Okay.
Mobility does have at least a couple of locations where I think their wood poles have actually been constructed. So I need to go out there and take a photo of one of those.
Well, I would note that I've seen the wood poles too.
Oh, okay, good.
And the wood poles don't, or at least haven't caught my attention at all in the way that that steel monopole has. Now, the council office made a different decision for a different reason.
Right.
In CD9, which I understand. But my goal here, and if Mobility's poles are different, and it wouldn't be fair to Mobility's application, then we shouldn't include the steel monopole. What I'm trying to get here is not just for my colleagues, but for, and Commissioner Penning was with me that day. She can speak for herself, but I think she agreed with me. We all, you know, it's a good thing there wasn't a lot of traffic that day. I might have swerved off the road. I was in such shock. But what I'm trying to do here is get as accurate as a record as possible for the future. And so while this superimposing this image as to what it would look like is helpful, very helpful, I would also like to see a past actual one.
Okay.
So granted, the Cheviot Hills monopole may not be fair to this application. They've got to have a steel pole somewhere that is. Or if not, then when this one goes in, take a picture of it and include it so that we have not just a shot of imagining what it would be like, but I'd like to see a photograph of some that are at least one other similar pole in the city. The wood monopoles, to me, have not had the shock value that the steel monopoles have.
No, the steel monopoles are bigger in diameter and more massive.
And I realize this council office asked for these, and they wanted it, and they negotiated with mobility, and that's fine. I'm going to vote for this for all those reasons. But I would like for the record to be as accurate as possible, and I think the record would be more accurate with whatever the application is, whoever it is, a poll that is commensurate with what we are being asked to approve.
Okay, I was planning on doing that because I do have the photo that Warren sent you to include in similar board reports, and as soon as one of these gets constructed, I'll take a picture
We'll
of one of
add them
those.
as we go along. Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, thank you. Anything further on number 2? Commissioner Rivas.
Yeah, my question is, what the main differences between the steel monopole and the wood? Because the steel seems to have less attachments than the wood, but is it taller, or what about it was
The steel
shocking?
monopole is the same height roughly as the wood one. The difference is that when you're hiding stuff inside, you increase the diameter of the pole, so it has a much larger presence when you see it installed. The steel poles and the concrete poles do have less on the outside than the wood poles do, and that's one of the reasons for using them, because you can stuff the stuff on the inside, but it does make for a more massive presence in the sidewalk.
Oh, so it's then the diameter of this.
Yes, the wood ones are at the base about a little over 9 inches. The steel ones are going to be around 12 inches, so they are more massive.
Okay. Yeah, it just, in this photo, it doesn't appear to be massive, but I've never seen one.
They're
in real
cleaner
life.
looking, but they're bigger.
And just for me, my own personal testimony on this is that the wood, yes, there are more attachments to the wood, but just my own experience, the wood blends in.
Yes, it
because you
does.
have wood utility poles, and they just blend in better. The ones I've seen just don't blend in very well. But again, the council office has their reason for asking for these, and mobility has these available, and the Cultural Affairs Commission has them in the bailiwick of items you can choose, and here we are. So, but I just think for the record to be more clear on what we are deciding on, it would be good to have an actual example of of one that does exist that's commensurate to what we're being asked to approve. Anything further? All right, then I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2 after all that discussion. Seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Thank you all for your work. Oh, Shannon, you want to say something? Okay. Add something to our discussion?
Add something to Commissioner Rivas's comment. On steel poles, as he said, we can put a lot of the wiring inside, and LADWP requires on the wood poles, because we can't put it inside, to have like almost a 2-foot standoff. So that's why they do appear a little with much more attachments on them. And also, I live in Cheviot Hills, and so I have a picture of what I think you're talking about on my phone. I think it's a Verizon Philips pole. And they are wider. They're going to be wider than what ours are, because I believe they have the antennas inside those poles, but we do have the antennas attached.
It's a bit shorter, too.
It's a bit shorter, but fatter. I know exactly the one you're talking about. That's it.
Yeah, thank you. Any objection on number 2? Mr. Jordan.
Well, I just want to, for the record, because you had indicated if it was okay with the city attorney, so for the record, I'm fine with having the Bureau present as much additional information as the board thinks is necessary so that our record is clear. Just noting in this report, for example, it says the height of the pole but not the diameter. Right. So that would be the kind of information that could be included. The aesthetic discussion in the report says it's similar in appearance to streetlights in the area. So if you want to have a comparison of the pole and a streetlight, that would be an additional piece of information. So I'm very much in favor of your record being as inclusive and clear as possible.
Great, thank you. So on number 2, any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Any issues sending it forthwith? We will send number 2 forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Ledoux. We look forward to the future reports. I think it is time for Hannah's presentation on number 10 this morning regarding the Small Business Academy Semi-Annual Progress Update from the Bureau of Contract Administration. Go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm happy to report that the next academy is happening in September. It'll be our 4th one, jointly with DWP, POLA, and LAWA, as well as USC. The location will be the same place. This year, however, the focus, unlike the previous years, will be on professional services. For 3 years in a row, we focused on construction contractors and related services such as engineering and architectural services. But we didn't want to neglect the other community of professional service providers. So this year, that will be our focus. The application that I shared with you is available. It's due this Friday. And so we're hoping to have a good turnout. Last year, I think we had over 100 applications to weed through, and we selected about 30 companies. So that's what's going on this year. We will focus on, as you can tell from the schedule of classes, that we'll be focusing on environmental project providers, financial services, training staff, development, consulting firms, and IT. So we're really excited to provide the same academy to these companies. And so we targeted providers of such services in the LA BAVN. And so we'll find out this Friday how many applications we receive. So in addition to that, we've been keeping in touch with our graduates. We have about 90 graduates, just seeing what kind of contracts they're getting. If they have any issues, we periodically issue surveys. And so at I think the last ad hoc committee that we had, that Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Penning have held, so I challenged the prime contractors. I said, how many of you are willing to meet with my graduates, and I threw out that challenge, and I was going to follow up with an email, but before I ever did it, one of the participants, her name is Jennifer Trotter from Burns McDonnell, and she contacted me and she said, we'd love to host a matchmaking event at our company. And, would you be willing to work on that for us? And I said, sure. So Angela Tumbakan, I want everybody to meet her.
Good morning. I'm Angela Tumbakan, working with Hannah.
Yes.
And I also work with the centralized certification.
Right. So she is going to be the small business ombudsperson in our office. She's been doing all the surveys and talking to the companies, but she's going to help all these matchmaking events that we're going to have. So the first one is going to be tomorrow, right?
Yes, tomorrow. We're going to the Pasadena office of Burns McDonnell.
Right. And how many of our graduates are participating?
We have 10 graduates. We reached out to them, and we also gave them a profile of what Burns McDonnell is looking for, and they in turn also submitted profiles of their companies and what services they provide. So Burns McDonnell said that they would have the project managers and the decision makers available for them tomorrow.
Right. So they're going to team up the project managers with each individual graduate, which is great. That's what our graduates need. And so in addition to Burns and McDonnell, we got responses from Brown and Caldwell, Black and Veatch, PCL Construction, and Geosyntec. So we're really excited to have more matchmaking events throughout the end of December, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. And we even got a response from PCL right away, and they said they want to go a step further and actually help and give the graduates a pre-qualification training so that when they meet with the project managers, they're already pre-qualified.
So we have some exciting developments that I think one of the initiatives really out of the ad hoc committee was to do something meaningful for our graduates. And I think this is something that we can do without mandating, and getting in trouble with legal requirements, just opening up the opportunity for them to meet. That's what we want. And for the small business to say, hey, this is what I can do. And the big businesses looking for areas where they can help the small businesses. So we're really excited. And so, just hanging out with the small businesses is very inspiring because they have so much energy and passion to do well. And we just need, to provide that opportunity for them. So we're really excited. And we are welcome to join us. I think Commissioner Jacinto, you've joined us at every orientation, and so that'll be really exciting to do that again.
Thank you. And I have a couple of questions.
Mm-hmm.
So Hannah, you described a minute ago how from the prior 3 years there's a switch to something new this year versus the construction focus. What was the focus, the new focus that you just said?
Just professional services,
Okay.
non-construction.
Got it, which would be the logical
Yeah.
next one. Here's my question. And I may be wrong about this, I may be mistaken, but in prior years of this, was there, DWP had some element, an academy like this in prior years, correct?
No.
So, right, but was it always, has Public Works always worked with DWP on
Yeah,
this?
so the very first year, it was DWP, actually, Gwen Williams.
Yeah.
She had done similar programs in the private industry.
Okay.
So she invited John Reamer to join with this effort. So the first year was just, Public Works and DWP.
Okay.
Joining forces, right?
So it's because here's the reason I asked the question. So when DWP invited John Reamer to join, I was wondering, were there best practices from that prior period that we could recycle? But it sounds like when the invitation came, there was no prior period
Right.
from which to recycle.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
Okay.
I don't know, I've been doing this for 25 years. I don't ever remember doing an extensive academy of this type.
Right, okay.
We never had resources to do it. It's great to have DWP and the proprietary department as partners because they have the resources.
Right.
And we provide the expertise and help, and it's been an amazing relationship because of that.
All right.
So
Well, it made real sense for them to come invite us. I
Right.
appreciate that. Who is that?
Gwen Williams.
Okay. And I guess it's surprising to me that we are inventing the wheel rather than, trying to, that's why I was looking for best practices I always like to go back and if things have worked in the past and maybe for whatever reason they didn't happen, the fact that you can recreate them, but it sounds like we don't have anything to recreate.
Right.
You are creating. So then I think it is important that we move into the professional services arena. It's their turn in essence.
Right.
Excellent. Well, thank you for the continued work on this. I appreciate it. Let's see, Commissioner Repenning, then Commissioner Jacinto, and then Commissioner Davis.
Sure, I just want to thank you, Hannah and Angela, for your work, really, and, you guys are just so savvy and thoughtful about how you approach the goals that we all share in terms of, increasing the participation of a diverse, range of businesses that's truly reflective of our city, to ensure that the money that we're spending as a department is actually being put back into the community. I just want to thank you for your work on the Small Business Academy. I think it's a great program. And then also the work to make sure, because it really, 10 classes, it really is an investment that we're making into these businesses. And so I think it does make all the sense in the world for us to, now that we've got kind of a critical mass of graduates, to really figure out how to take that next step with them and help keep them engaged and help make sure that the investment we've made is maximized. So great to hear the news that some of our committee members are stepping up. That was indeed the point. And thank you for your work. I hope we have a good outcome from those meetings.
Thank you, Commissioner Penning. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Hannah and Angela, I want to thank you guys for the great work that's coming out of contract administration. I think this is the testimony again to the leadership of Commissioner Penning and Commissioner Davis on the Business Advisory Committee in putting this out in the open and making clear our mayor's vision of the local return and of a prosperous city for all Angelinos, all small businesses, diverse. And so just going back to May, and we had the Accessing LA second edition, and Angela, thank you for, now you're the ombudsman, so congratulations to you on that. It means you're going to solve problems and be the chief customer service person. That's important because we have to remove obstacles and how primes and subcontractors can work. So thank you for being the champion and being progressive for our city out of contract administration. I look forward to working with you and our colleagues on this. I think we should look strategically at how to increase and widen our Small Business Academy, knowing that it's very successful, that if we have the metrics, so let's take a look at the first 3 rounds, and there's anecdotal, let's quantify it, let's have that evidence-based information that we need as a rationale to say we can grow it, and here's what we could do, especially with DWP, POLA, LAWA, USC, Metro. There's a lot on the horizon, and we have to be very progressive in order to be able to get that local return out to all our communities in all of Los Angeles. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Commissioner Davis.
I want to once again thank Hannah for all the great work that our contract administration is doing, and I want to congratulate you. Prior to your being appointed, and even prior to Commissioner Penning's being here, Commissioner Rodriguez, who was the Vice President, was involved, and of course now Commissioner Penning will be involved with the project, and both she and I, as well as the rest of our commission, look forward to working with you in your new capacity. We congratulate you, and we know that we will continue to have the kind of diversity that embodies both those underrepresented groups and particularly women as well in the work that we do. So I'm so proud of what Hannah Choi continues to do to help promote this LA Small Business Academy. And I really do believe that DWP is a great partner for us because they do a lot of work, a lot of contracting, and so that's equally important for us to collaborate. So again, congratulations, and we all in the board of Public Works look forward to being intricately involved and working with you. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, and you're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas.
No, this is such a great program. You know, I've already heard great things about this program and have met some of the graduates and that you brought over to the board. One thing, I was very happy to hear that our primes are, there are some prime contractors that are willing to host the matchmaking sessions, because I've heard that, you know, maybe something that came out of the ad hoc, that's what a lot of subcontractors wanted, and I know for us to do it, it just, you know, we don't have all of the resources to host as many as our subcontractors would like us to have. So it's exciting that they're stepping up and willing to partner and do this for us and for them, really, right? One question I had, besides businesses on Bavin, or do you do any other outreach to recruit participants into this program?
So DWP also has their database. All the proprietary departments, in addition to Bavin, have a list of some sort. So they've all reached out to their databases as well.
Okay. And do businesses already have to be certified?
No. We would like to know what their status is, but it's for information purposes. But
part of something that can result is
Exactly.
participating is like, oh, I should be certified.
Yes.
You know, the advantages.
We take them through the whole certification process as well.
That's great. So yeah, good luck, and I look forward to hearing and meeting some of these graduates.
Great. We will definitely bring them next year at the next reporting period. We'll bring our graduates and introduce them to you again.
Thank you.
Hannah, it's so properly suited for you. You're such a bright light in these things, and we love having you here. It's always nice to hear from you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say that over the 25 years of doing this type of work, I think this administration, this board, is the first board where every single commissioner is involved in some aspect of benefiting our small businesses. I mean, I work closely with Commissioner Jacinto on the Accessing LA, Commissioner Davis and Penning on, the whole ad hoc business, and Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Penning are always coming up with some plan to help our small businesses. And then, of course, Commissioner Rivas-san and Commissioner Penning on the WBE, the Women Outreach Program. So it's been really a holistic, exciting journey for our Bureau as well. I feel like we're going to do something. We're really going to do something, and we have the right staff with the right energy to bring all of this together. So I'm really excited, and Commissioner James, you have a wonderful staff of commissioners who are really dedicated, not just in talk, but in action. So that's a huge difference.
Great. Yeah, we feel good about that right now. So thank you, Hannah. Anything else? Have we cleared the desk, Mr. Mendoza?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then we are adjourned. Everyone have a great Wednesday.